coughing. It's going down the wrong, tube. So that's what the coughing is about. It's not
pneumonia.
Her lungs are not infected. It's not an infection. She's swallowing down the wrong tube, and that's very, very much a Parkinson's thing. Another, doctor who's on my list and who's really excellent. She says, yeah, it looks like Parkinson's and maybe asthma too, which they have a whole theory. She has a whole theory about what asthma is really about, which is an unregulated histamine function. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
But if she had asthma, she wouldn't be getting the seizures, would she? Or could that be part of that?
Well, yes. In this one modality that believes that so many allergic conditions are undiagnosed and are really have to do with histamine imbalance. But that's sort of like an alternative medicine thing. No. The seizures would have to do with the fact that she had a concussion. There's Steve Pichenik, who works in the government and worked in psychological warfare, but also knows the Clintons personally, knows Chelsea Clinton, and thinks Chelsea is a caring person. And he's asking himself, how has her daughter allowed her to go forward? I mean, why? How is anyone allowed this to carry on? She's ill. He says that she has had brain tumors and 2 brain surgeries. And that it may be cancerous and maybe has metastasized by now. So I mean, that's him. That's Steve Pichenik, who claims to be an insider in that situation, and said he really views all of this as treasonous activity. We have and that he is predicting that there will be the Democratic National Congress is they are now sort of secretly. I mean, it is being reported in Yahoo News. They are starting to talk about the possibility of fielding alternative candidates to her, but that will probably result in having to push back the general election, and that they might ask for that. He's predicting that that's what's going to happen.
Wow. Do you think they'll get the right to push back the general election? I mean, I wonder what the rules are. How interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
Why? I mean,
we're in uncharted territory.
There's
basically.
other parties running candidates, so why would one party get to push back a general election?
Really good question. Yeah. So this David Schuster, who's a Democratic operative, who he's saying we're in uncharted political territory. Between her basket of deplorables comment and her hiding this so-called pneumonia for 3 days, which is the official story. Okay, sorry, we hid the pneumonia for 3 days. If which we don't, from the symptoms, doesn't look like that's what her problem is. And then the video of her fainting during the 9/11 memorial ceremony. I mean, this is now for a presidential nominee, not a candidate, a nominee. This is uncharted political territory, and this is even a Democrat operative saying this.
Yeah, because we've never had a nominee this close to election fainting and showing signs of a seizure. I mean, we've never had anything like this.
It's completely new world, and this, how did this allow to get to this point, is causing people at large to question the judgment of everyone involved in the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party and in the news industry. And the reason why this is occurring, like so much else, like I was saying, is because we have access to an alternative media and people making clips and slowing them down and showing her feet dragging on the ground as they sort of shove her head first into her ambulance, painted ambulance, this limo that's really a painted ambulance, and Catherine Austin Fitts, who's been a guest on Dark Journalist, I think she said it really well, and she says the divergence between official reality and real reality has never been greater in modern times, and what we're seeing is the delusional elites and their lapdog media are attempting to impose their reality on the masses, which is nothing new. This has been going on forever.
Well,
right?
Plato's cave allegory, right? You've heard of Plato's cave allegory?
Yeah, of course.
But
what's different is that we have the internet now, and people who care about the truth and who use the internet to express their views are beginning to have a significant impact on public perception. And even Hillary Clinton, it's in one of the station breaks that Alex Jones does. He has this, Hillary Clinton said it best, and she says, "We're in an information war, and we're losing that war." And many people in the alternative media are saying that this whole thing with Hillary fainting could very well mark a turning point for the alternative media and the mainstream media, where people are really just, where they already, they had to fire, Brian Williams and, just to try to look better because their ratings were already slumping. And like you're saying, there are many alternative news sites that are getting more viewers than network news sites,
Yeah, they are.
And
so,
yeah, I mean, even little people like me, we're getting more than CNN.
You're not a little person. You have some amazing numbers, but many corporations are still afraid to associate with these topics. Why do you think they think it scares off customers? Do you believe that? And why do you think it does?
Well, I think that that's a classical view that might have been true in 1950 when there was no internet and people there was a more monolithic belief or perception of reality back then. But things have really, society has become very decentralized and schizophrenic since then. I mean, it's become much more culturally diverse. And there aren't three networks, TV networks anymore. There are hundreds and hundreds and then millions of bloggers and YouTube uploaders and everything. I mean, it's a very different space right now. And there are certainly, you may
it's the renaissance of communication. It's just great.
Absolutely.
I think it's great.
It's the birth of real communication. It's unlike anything. It's unprecedented. But you may recall, like Chick-fil-A had an anti-gay, corporate culture or something like that, and they were heavily censured by the mainstream media and by, and they had to different corporations do have corporate cultures, and now, small businesses, there are some that are completely non-mainstream, and they want to sell their products to people who have the same mindset that they do. And when I first started out 6 years ago publishing Forbidden Knowledge TV, it was really inspirational to see all of these independent, small businesses advertising on my site. That was really cool, I thought. And then slowly I began to see these ads morph into these really ugly, dumb, the same ad of what looked like a homeless guy saying he's putting supermarkets out of business. And it's like, what is this is going to scare people away from my site. What's Google doing to me? And so this change of terms of service that's been happening that everyone's been talking about actually,
you mean with Google?
Really went into full effect about a year ago, and it totally knocked me and hundreds of other alternative news sites out of business. And,
well, they rewrote their search algorithms and their advertising algorithms, which caused many alternative media sites to lose significant ad revenue, which is what you're talking about. But how do we know that the alternative media sites were the target of their rewrite versus a typical upgrade to their algorithm? What specifically did you find and do? Because I was talking to a Google engineer, and he was pretty he was unaware of everything. I mean, it was like he didn't even have a clue what I was talking about, but he just talked like it was a typical upgrade to their algorithm and blah, blah, blah. So how do you know what they did is...
Well, you can just, see it by its fruits. I mean, I can just talk about three alternative channels, myself, Storm Clouds Gathering, and We Are Change, for example. All of us were basically knocked over.
Basically, you couldn't really. They would not put ads on your site anymore, or what?
No, they actually would. This is what's really, makes it turn into kind of a fraud case at this point. Especially with me, because there's a slight difference. It's all Google AdSense, right?
Yeah.
But on YouTube, it's a different. They make the publishers make less money. If you are running Google ads on your own website, you actually make like 68% of the ad income. That was the thing, and then it's more like 43% on YouTube, if I recall correctly, what the number breakdowns were. I never focused on the YouTube part of things.
Always
more my site.
Yes.
So the ads, they wouldn't take the ads down. The ads are there. They're called channels. They're on your site. The ads were there, and suddenly, my income dropped to 1/5, to 5%, of what it had been for 4.5 years.
Wow.
And
so you had all the same stuff, then suddenly they just paid you 1/5 the same, and say suddenly 1/5 the amount of people are clicking on the ads on your site?
No, the numbers, the traffic didn't change drastically. It was what they paid, the earnings.
That's what I'm saying. So suddenly from one day to the next, they're claiming that only 20% of the people that were clicking on the ads before are now clicking on the ads on your site.
No, they're actually not claiming that the traffic had changed so much. I mean,
well, then
it did go down somewhat, according to possibly maybe to ad blocking software, but no, they just stopped. They were paying a lower rate.
They just started paying you 1/5 the amount.
Yeah. And so were they just taking the lion's share for themselves? We don't know, because there's very little transparency there.
Interesting. So they didn't do that to other sites. They just did it to certain sites that they felt were a threat, and they just paid you 1/5 the amount you were getting before.
That's what it certainly looked like to us, because other ones have stayed alive. Like the Young Turks I think might be the most popular site on the, or certainly alternative news site on YouTube.
Sure.
And, but they have millions of viewers, and they don't really go there. They don't really go there with 9/11. They don't really go there with, so they don't, they're not really that much of a threat. To call them alternative is sort of pushing it. Yes, alternative compared to CNN, but, not really looking at the deep state issues. They'll never talk about the deep state and things like that.
How interesting. Okay. So how do you ensure that you're getting to the truth? Because you have all sorts of different issues. So how do you vet your information and your sources?
Well, you just do it the normal way. Sometimes you're really excited about something, and if you don't do your homework on sometimes you'll get nailed, and I've apologized and then retracted and whatever, and that's what I always do, because I'm much more interested in the truth than I am in being right or having a facade, or
Sure, yes.
So not what what I'm about is not like I'm predicting and I'm the all knowing, So, but so from those experiences, I've become better. It's like I said, I started my career as a filmmaker and and then later more as an author. I've written 6 books, and sometimes you don't have really a lot of time, between managing 65,000 subscribers and their tech support issues and their questions and also their submissions of stories, and then publishing. I was publishing twice a day for many years.
That's a lot of work, by the way.
It is. It's a lot.
It's a lot of work.
You're looking at a 15-hour day.
Oh gosh,
7 days a week.
You must love it though. So.
Yeah, I mean, I am passionate about it. But so to vet, I mean, you just basically like any other basic research, you Google it, you see what other people are saying about it, you Google the details of the story. Who owns this corporation? How big is this corporation? What's this corporation worth? Like, for example, the Zika virus, we find out that it's such a fraud. It's unbelievable, the whole thing about the Zika virus. It's, I'm half Brazilian, and dengue is a real problem in Brazil. There are 4 strains of dengue, which once you've had them all, then you